This podcast is sponsored by Keeper Brand Fishing Apparel and Steam Juice Vape Juice. We'll provide the links to those companies in the description of the episode. And without further ado, here's episode 23. Hey guys, welcome back to Funny Blunt Truth. We're on episode 23. My name is Dave. Don's on a podcast, and we have a special guest. Her name is Jocelyn Hawley. You want to say hi?
Hey everybody.
So, I'm really excited to have her on. Little backstory. So I have a Facebook and somehow I stumbled across Jocelyn's page and, she has like, videos up and, she's a very open and positive person. And, I kind of just like, I just liked like her messages. Like I said, very positive person, and I followed her. So fast forward a little bit, we have the podcast, and then it just dawned on me. We like to have interesting, positive guests with great stories. And it's like, why don't I just ask Jocelyn if she would like to be on? So here we are. So I guess I can, get to it and ask you the first question.
Well, thank you so much for having me and that introduction.
No, thank you for being on. Like, we're really honored. I really feel like you're a special, positive person. I really do mean that by following you. So, all right, Jocelyn. So, what can you tell like the audience about yourself? Just like your background, upbringing, just whatever you would like to share. Like,
okay. Well, that's tough to start with, right?
That's a broad one,
right? So I grew up actually in small town Vermont. My family actually founded the town that I grew up in. So my family's lived there for a long time. I grew up there, loved the community, my friends, my family, grew up playing sports. And I think it's unique to grow up in such an environment, like where pretty much everybody knows who you are. Like not a lot of people have that, right?
See, I didn't have that. I grew up in New York. And then totally different. And then I moved to Connecticut in 97, but I grew up in the inner city. And, definitely not that.
Yeah. So like New York City.
New York City. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely a different world. My sister lives there now. So it's definitely a different world. And I just feel very blessed. I felt very loved growing up and supported, in all my endeavors. You know, there are always, I think everyone faces challenges, has crosses to bear in life, but overall, I'd say just an average person, right? Or quote unquote normal, whatever that is.
Yeah. What's normal?
I don't really know, but I guess I'd fall into that category. And then I actually had, my son actually very early. I was 19 when I had him. So I've been busy being a mom since being a young adult, which is awesome and so rewarding, challenging at times. Mm-hmm. But I just think I'm, I guess, just a normal person like everybody else. So I'm very like humbled and honored to be on here.
I've been to Vermont. Vermont was pretty cool. I like the outdoors and the wilderness. So
I went to Killington once, went skiing there.
I've been there.
Long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Random story.
Cool, Don.
So, so let me ask you real quick. I'm going to jump in here. I'm not as familiar with you as Dave is. He was the one who made contact with you, which I think is a great idea. Do you think going on social media, because if we're okay talking about this, you got cancer and you went through treatment and you posted a good deal of this up on social media, right? And and told your story about everything that's happening to you in real time.
Yeah. So when I first got diagnosed, I wasn't very open to sharing my story. I was, dealing with the diagnosis and kind of making sense of it as best I could, figuring out what my new normal was going to be like. And prior to my first treatment, I had maybe told 10 people about my diagnosis, and I was planning on sort of calling a real life timeout, doing my treatment, and then, getting back at whatever real life was. And I decided shortly before my first treatment in May that I was going to post a video on Facebook announcing my diagnosis and what I was going through, because I realized that if I didn't tell my story, someone else would, or someone else have a perception of what was going on with me, because I wasn't sure how I was going to look, how I was going to feel, and all of that. And I knew, I was still in Vermont at this time. People would be able to tell that there was a difference. Okay. So I didn't want to be that poor kid's mom, or, you know, that person who worked at the bank, or, you know, with some sort of negative spin on it. I needed to tell the story in my own way.
So it's more, it's not to interrupt, but it's you, what you're saying is you taking control of people's conversations then. You're saying, I got this is my life, and I'm showing it to you how I want you to see it.
Absolutely. And to see that, you know, cancer doesn't always have to be, I don't want to say horrible, I wouldn't say it's great, but I've known a lot of people who've had cancer, and a lot of people in my family have, and no one has survived it. So I needed to sort of take control and show people my prognosis was absolutely as good as it could be, and that I was going to absolutely kill this, you know?
Oh, amazing. Awesome. So this is a really deep question, and I'm jumping right to it.
Okay.
So I'm really interested in what your answer is, because, like I said, like for the people listening, like I follow Jocelyn, and, to touch on what Don brought up, she's very open with, you know, getting sick and like her life and stuff like that. And I found that like really brave and really, really inspiring.
That's super brave, by the way.
Super brave.
Very courageous to do that.
Yes, very courageous, very inspiring. And, I know you're reaching out and you're touching a lot of people. So, but anyway, to get to the question, this is really deep. What is the meaning of life to you?
Okay. Wow. So actually, that's a tough one. I would say there's a quote about it, and I agree with this, that, you know, the purpose in life is to find your passion, or something to that effect, and then to give it away. I think it's so important to share whatever God-given gifts you have with the world. And prior to this, it was probably something I didn't do so much, because it does take being brave and courageous to do so. And I don't think enough people do it.
You're right.
You know, I think we're faced with so much negativity in the world. I don't generally focus on that, but I see where it comes from, you know, like people hear they're not good enough, they're not this, they're not that. But I think instead of focusing on the negative, you need to focus on the positive and what good you can bring, or we can bring as individuals to the world, or gifts we can bring to the world. Sorry.
Now, did getting cancer change you into that viewpoint? Because you were saying, I think you alluded to the fact that you weren't always that way, right?
No, I was very guarded, just due to my own life experiences. My youngest sister was diagnosed with cancer and passed away when I was in high school.
Sure.
And that actually sort of put me into a space that was exactly opposite where I am now. I was so living in a space where I just thought everyone around me was going to die. You know, I knew it was like a matter of time. And instead of sharing my love and gifts with the world, I became guarded. It was sort of selfish of me. And my faith was at an all-time low at that time too.
Not to cut you off, Jocelyn, but my stepfather died of cancer. He used to smoke like a ton of cigarettes, and he passed away when I was like really young. I was like 12 years old, and it affected me at the time in a really bad way. Like it was traumatic for me. I could get into details, but it was very traumatic for me, and it had a similar effect on me. I grew up, like my family was like really religious, and going through that, I mean, it was just a crazy, like the same month my grandfather died, it was just a crazy thing. But, it kind of like, it hit my faith at an early age, and I carried into like my teens, and I kind of was like angry and a little bit like resentful, like why, you know, he was such a great guy, and it was kind of like, why do bad things happen to good people? And I was very closed off and angry. And, but the episode is not about me, but I can relate to what you're talking about now.
Yeah. I mean, Actually, the day my sister was diagnosed with cancer, my great-grandmother passed away. I mean, it was just a really rough time. And, you know, when she did pass, I seriously was at an all-time low as far as my faith went. And I sort of, I guess we can say, went through the motions of life from there on out. You know, I questioned why really do anything? Does it really matter?
I could
you know,
relate 100%.
Yeah. Whereas now, and I learned the lesson that, you know, life is precious and that, you know, it can end at any point in time, but my reaction to that is different now. Whereas now I'm a little bit more proactive and like, you know, you have to give and share your love while you're here because who knows, you know,
is that something difficult to maintain, that type of positivity? Do you find that at any point, like you have to reinforce yourself to that? Because I notice there's some people that you can follow on social media. They're always, you know, they've been through some hardships and they're extremely positive, and it seems like they never have like a moment of doubt or anything. Do you still find yourself wavering here and there, or is it just like, you know, you're pushing through, or is it something that's just like coming through you and you can't even control it? Like the positivity.
I have no doubts. However, I have moments. You know, I am human. I have, actually on Tuesday, I had a radiation planning appointment, and it made me a little bit emotional in that they literally mark you up. Like I literally have red and blue marks on my chest right now with stickers over them that I'm going to have for the next 6 weeks. And it didn't dawn on me that they were going to be there for 6 weeks until I actually got in my car. I'm like on the highway driving back home, and I was like, wow, I'm not going to be able to wear a swimsuit. I have to rethink, like, I don't even have clothes that are going to cover all these. It's summertime, right? And I don't want to say feeling negative about it, but I was in that space of processing, and I definitely wasn't thrilled with the idea, and I'm still sort of figuring that out. You know, how do I cover this up? Because it's not a matter of being ashamed or anything like that, but there are moments of, I don't want cancer to define my whole life. You know, I don't want people to be like, you know, oh, you've got something on your chest. Well, no joke, right? And have to explain to somebody what that is.
Yeah, duh.
I wouldn't know if I hadn't recently been through this. So I was still had a positive mindset. Like I knew it could be worse, and I knew this is all for greater good, right? This is preserving my future and my life. But in the moment, like I have those moments where, you know, things bother me a little. So, you know, I guess that's just keeping it real a little.
Yeah, it's funny you said the greater good because when I was younger, I didn't really have that mindset, and then like after my stepdad died, like it affected me in a way where I just couldn't see the positive in like bad things. I just had a real negative attitude. And but when you really think about things, like I'm just gonna go flat out on air and admit this, like I believe in God, and but that's me. So my faith was a little bit weaker when I was younger, like I said, but I do believe that everything does happen for a reason, and sometimes you can't figure it out. You really can't figure it out in the moment, but it could be something 10 years down the line. Maybe you go through an experience that it gives you like a certain amount of wisdom, and you have the right words for somebody at the right time 20 years from now because you've been through something. Like I believe in stuff like that. That's me though. So that helps me get through bad things. I think, you know, they always have a purpose.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I don't think we always get the answers as to why. You know, and I'm learning in my faith that I don't need to know why. Like I can honestly say I have never once since I've been diagnosed asked why. Why me? None of that matters. It doesn't change my circumstances.
I think what matters most is being proactive. Just keeping forward, like you're saying, keep pushing.
Exactly. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead and finish that statement.
When I first started this journey, I don't know, I was in such a different place, right? Like I found the lump, right? And then I knew I had to go to the doctors. So I go to the doctors, and then there's another appointment for imaging. And I just kept looking at, okay, you know, I'm going to go to this one. That's going to be it. I'm going to go to that one. That's going to be it. And I was always worried about getting to work on time or how it affected my work schedule. And now I look back and kind of laugh, and I'm like, did that really matter? Actually, the day I told my mom, I was on my way home from my imaging appointment. I told my mom, that I was going to have a biopsy. I literally was standing in the kitchen. I was like, I gotta go. I'm like, I gotta get back to work. I gotta leave. Like, I'm later than what I told them I was gonna be. And I was like, I stood there and I was like, who has time for this? I was like, I don't want to use my PTO time to go have this procedure done. I had 2 surgeries, and after the first one, I went to work the next day. My obligation really should have been to myself and my health.
Yeah, not to hold that thought, not to cut you off, but isn't it crazy how like we're brainwashed to care about like trivial things? Like me personally, I care about money because you need money to live, but we like tend to put importance on things that are not really important in life. Like the most important things to me, family, spending time with loved ones, and like you touched on pursuing your passions and just happiness, just trying to find happiness in life. But not to cut you off, I hope you remember where you're at.
Oh, I definitely don't.
Well, I'll tell you this to expand upon that.
Sorry.
I'm glad you actually brought this whole thing up, Jocelyn, because it reminds me when you talk about this stuff, which it does irritate me because I've been to the hospital a lot this year, and to get worried about fitting it in and worried about getting terminated or fired or reprimanded because you're just trying to get better is something that really, really irritates me. But I did see your story reminds me of a cartoon that I saw a while ago about Breaking Bad. You know the TV show, right?
Yeah.
Walter White got cancer. He couldn't afford the therapy, so he went into running drugs or whatever it was, making drugs. So there was a cartoon, and it said how that happened in the U.S., and then it was a cartoon, and it said if it happened in the U.K., and it shows the guy just going, all right, well, I'm going to the hospital. And there would have been no TV show. And it's one of those things that I think about sometimes. To me, like a story like yours is a perfect scenario of why we need to make sure we take care of our citizens and make sure that they're not worrying about anything else. Like to you, for me, taking care of you or any of the other citizens, I will gladly pay more taxes for. Does that something you feel now, like similar? It's okay if you don't. I'm just curious.
I don't know where I stand on that, honestly. I do know I believe everyone should be able to focus on their health and be well and shouldn't have to worry. But I don't know, I'm so independent. I'm always like, I need to take care of this. I need to take care of that. But I do know or believe there are systems in place that are supposed to help people, right, in challenging times, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it does, absolutely. I was just curious because I've always thought that way, more or less, that we should be helping out people and they shouldn't have to concern themselves with work. But I guess that's a facet of society. But let me ask you something else. Is there any hope that you have when you're doing the social media stuff that you are going to inspire other people, like through it all?
Yes. When I posted my very first video, my goal was to inspire one person. And actually I was so beyond surprised. I posted my video just as I had completed treatment, in Boston. And my drive home is about 3.5 hours from Boston to Vermont. And when I got home, I texted one of my cousins and I was like, oh, hey, I posted a video on Facebook. He's no longer on Facebook. I said, have your wife, show you the video. And he's like, she told me she watched it. Like 2,400 people have watched it. And I was like, what? Like it was insane. Like thousands of people watched this video.
Isn't that like, wild? When you do something like that and you get like a huge response from strangers, random people, family members.
It completely blew my mind. I mean, I had no idea how it happened, why it happened, any of that. Like, I thought maybe 50 of my Facebook friends were going to watch it, like, at most. So the fact that it was viewed, like, thousands of times was just so, I don't know, incredible to me, I guess.
Is that like, yeah, I was just going to say, is that inspiring back to you then more?
Yes. And that's what, has sort of caused me to continue posting along throughout my journey. I did it sort of as a one-time thing. And then I don't know how many videos I've posted since then, but I, try to post relatively regularly, but try not to post too much, if that makes sense.
I love your videos. You also, put out messages of just hard work and going after it. You just come off as like a go-getter. And
yeah.
I personally love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that inspires me also. But I have another question for you.
Sure.
So, and I hope this isn't redundant for you, but, what's the main positive that has come out from you getting sick? And have you learned anything, and has it changed your perspective at all?
Yep. The day I felt the lump, I knew I wasn't living out my passion. I knew, being a banker wasn't where it was at for me. There's nothing wrong with that, but I knew I needed to change what I was doing in my direction. Somewhere along the way, I think like many people sort of got caught up in the day-to-day stuff. Like I went to work, had to go to the grocery store, make dinner, go to games, do this, do that, and sort of lost sight of what I envisioned my future would look like, and working toward that. And where I was, what I was doing was not going to get me to where my dreams are. So I knew I was never, or my plan was anyways, to never go back to living that way again. So
that right there is inspiring. And Don and I can relate because, that's one of the reasons why we have this podcast. Like, there are certain projects and things that I'm working on, and the 9 to 5 for me, I've known since I was younger, like it's not for me. Like there's something else. You just feel something inside. And I think a lot of people like suppress that maybe out of fear or out of pressure from people around them. Like if you try to chase something, it's not safe. It's kind of wild. And people try to tell you, that's, what are the odds? Or like, you have a stable job, good pay. Like, so, but I'm a dreamer, and, you seem like a person that's willing to take chances. But since you touched on that, like, and if you want to share, what are your passions? What do you dream about?
What do I dream about as far as like a career goes? Like how am I going to support my family? Or
anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, it's your episode, so.
Okay. My biggest goals are to free as many people as possible from physical and financial pain. Like when I started going through this, one thing was, I'm a single mom. So there's one income in my home. So if I don't work, if I'm not making money, there's no income, right? And I don't believe when people find themselves in situations like this, that should be one of their first thoughts. They shouldn't have to worry about that. So, one of my things is to help people be as financially free as possible, to live a life by their own design and to truly live by choice. I think so many times we get stuck in, like I said, the day-to-day, or, I have this 9 to 5, but in so many 9 to 5s, people are capped in their salaries. Like, you're only going to go so far. You're only going to earn so much, whether we want to believe that or not, right?
Yeah, you're going to work yourself to the bone and make somebody else rich, the CEO of the company.
Exactly. And, through freeing myself, I want to be able to live more, like adventure more, travel, just enjoy more time with friends and family. And I also want to give more. Like my heart is so into that. Like I know there's such a need for so much in this world. I want to start my own non-for-profit. That's something sort of on the horizon. I haven't started actively doing that right now, but that's coming. And some of my friends and I have recently got together about doing some, they're not random acts of kindness because they're going to be planned, but what can we do in small ways to give back? I think it's just sometimes so simple, and this is one area I held back in because I'm like, I'm not in a place like time-wise, financially, whatever it was in the past. And, you don't have to be in any certain place. It can be just giving time, or sharing love and whatnot. So for me, those are the biggest things that I see coming in my future. And I really, my son actually just came downstairs, and I really, 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 really want to inspire him, to follow his dreams.
Just to hit on this, and I hate to interrupt because we keep doing it, but is having your son an inspiration to you? Like, is it something that like kind of kicks you in the ass to keep you going? So, if I'm not inspiring him, then I'm not doing my job, or just having him around, like you need to be strong for him. Is that something you ever go through with all that?
I don't think necessarily. I mean, I do a lot for him, but not until recently did I realize how much more I should be encouraging him and inspiring him. After actually one of my videos I did recently, I realized, was I asking him, what does he want to do? Like, how can I help him develop his passions? I've never been a mom who's like, you have to become this when you get older. But, it's finding that balance between, what are his dreams and pushing him just a little bit further to dream a little bit bigger. So yeah, that's
I think he's very lucky to have you. I just gotta say that.
Thank you. I think some days he feels that way and others he thinks his mom's a little trolling.
Hard on it. Hey, but that's the mark of a good mom,
There you go. Sometimes
go ahead.
Sometimes I say, if you don't think I'm a bad mom, I'm not doing my job.
Bam. Exactly. Like, I don't have kids yet. I plan on having kids, but, my attitude would be like, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to be your dad. So
yeah,
that's how I'm going to handle that.
Showing the tough love, Dave.
Yeah.
It's a tough balance.
I would imagine. I don't know. All I have is 3 dogs adopted, but,
hey, you're a dad.
Yeah.
You got fur babies.
Yeah. The only difference is I get to lock the dogs up in a cage and they can't call the cops on me.
Geez.
Right, but I've trained my child. Now I can take him out into the world. Like, he's potty trained and stuff now and talking and doing all kinds of things.
That's good. That's what you want.
Right.
Did you have another question? Sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to talk over you there.
I did. It's a heavy one.
Go ahead.
Go first.
Well, no. I was going to say go ahead because I was going to go ahead and do our thing. But I'll let you get that and then, we'll go from there. So go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. All right, Jocelyn. So, I got a good one for you. It's a deep question. You ready?
I'm ready.
So, and I think I know the answer. I think I do. Do you believe in a higher power and an afterlife?
Yes. I am a believer in God. I respect whatever other people believe in, whatever their thing is. But for me, I definitely believe in God and I believe in an afterlife. Mm-hmm. So that now sort of propels me to live the life I'm living now, right? And the one I plan to live, for as long as I'm here.
So, just to touch on it a little further now, is it like a gut feeling or have you like been through experiences that like cements that for you? Like, for sure there has to be a God, there has to be an afterlife. And, I'm not going to go on a rant, but I'm going to say in my case, it's a gut feeling and, there's no proof, but I think that's the point of faith. And I'm sure there's people listening rolling their eyes that don't believe in God. That's cool right. Too, like you said. But I've also been through things, like I almost died multiple times. Like there's been like crazy things that happened in my life that it's like, whoa, like I just got out of that somehow. And sometimes things work out for me and it's like something's looking out for me. But I've had events and just like a personal gut feeling. How about you?
For me, I was raised, to go to church and whatnot. And I guess, right, that stuck with me all this time. And I know people who have been through, some crazy things and have experiences and people that I trust and love and know. And, but for me personally, it's just a faith thing. Like I know, like in my heart or whatever that, there is a God and that, we are being provided for here. And yeah, I think faith's a crazy thing. If people don't have it, I don't think they understand. I think it's pretty much impossible to understand if it's something you don't have, but the whole idea of faith, right, is that you believe in something whether you see it or not.
Yeah, that's kind of like the point.
Yeah. I mean, that ultimately is what faith is. I posted something just the other day about like, I believe in the sun even when it's not shining. I believe in love even when I'm alone. I believe in God even when he's silent. So, I think we're on a divine path. I think we have free will, but, I think there's a greater power, which is so freeing for me, right? That I'm not in control of everything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think, it's arrogant. This is my personal view. I think it's arrogant to think that you can control every aspect of your life and your path completely going forward. I think it's arrogant to think that, but like you said, like I respect if somebody doesn't believe in God, if you could believe in a spork, is your God. Like, that's cool. If that's what you believe in.
Yeah.
I respect it.
I think I've met that guy before. I think he's sleeping under the bridge downtown.
Yeah. But, I would never push my beliefs on someone. And on the flip side, I don't like it when I see people making fun of like religious people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like when I see religious people damning people who don't believe in God. Like everybody has their path they're going to walk, and you have a right to believe in whatever you want.
I think you're kind of hitting on a good point. This is what we talk about frequently on the show is that, you can have an opinion and it's okay. There seems to be, to Dave and I, this like Facebook era, this Twitter era where everybody's just, getting on everybody else because they have a different viewpoint or a different opinion, whatever the case. But there's like the level of acceptance is non-existent.
Right.
And for us, it's why we love doing the show is because we can have people on. And that's a big thing, at least for me, to try to get out to people in general in my daily life. Like, it's okay if you want to say one thing or if he says another thing, as long as it's not hate speech or something, it's cool, man. You have your opinion, we have ours. And nowadays I feel, I hate to use that term nowadays, but as adults, it's hard to have conversations with people without it breaking down into like shouting matches, or whatever. We hear that in our workplace or when you're out and about. So it's one of those things that's what we try to get out with the show. But, I was going to bring it on to a rapid fire. Nobody is free from the rapid fire, and not even you, Jocelyn. So it's just going to be a quick few questions. I don't know if you've had time to hear this before, but you'll pretty much get it on the first one.
Okay.
You'll understand how this is going to work. Just answer however you want or don't, either way.
I'm nervous.
No, it's cool. The points don't mean anything. So, all right. So like, we'll take the first one, like seafood, steak, or tofu.
Steak.
Okay. Would you rather be a lead singer or a backup dancer?
Backup dancer.
Would you rather be rock climbing or kayaking in a river?
Kayaking in a river.
Had to think about that one.
I did.
Space travel, okay, or cross-country road trip?
Cross-country road trip, for sure.
I would have gone with space travel. I guess it depends on the length of the space travel, but sunglasses beachside, sipping on a Mai Tai, or a skiing mask mountainside, sipping on some apple cider.
Definitely on the beach.
Okay. You know what's funny is almost every time I ask like a tropical-oriented question, almost everybody goes to that. So I always try to sneak one in there just to see what everybody's response is. And pretty much everybody, I think with the exception of Edward, has said they want to go to a tropical place. But would you rather have annoying neighbors or a bad internet connection?
Bad internet connection.
Okay, Michael Bay or Michael Phelps?
Michael Phelps.
All right. Rap music or EDM?
Rap music.
Okay. All pay being equal, would you rather study to be a doctor or apprentice to be a master woodcrafter?
Master woodcrafter.
See, I like that. That's what I was going to go with. All right, and the last one, would you rather climb Trump Towers with suction cups or climb the Great Wall of China?
Great Wall of China. I like your nod to that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we saw it yesterday, and it was like, what is going on here?
Some people are a wild, man.
Oh my God.
Crazy. My sister sent me a picture. She works at Trump Tower. So she got out of work and sent this picture. She's like, there's more cops and tourists than usual. And she's like, I looked up and there's this guy.
What happened with the guy?
This guy's in the window like this?
Yeah.
Dude, he was climbing with suction cups.
What's that?
He was climbing with suction cups, right? Like up the side of the building. I didn't get to see the end of it. So I don't know. It was just like, okay, I'm turning this off now.
This morning, I thought I heard on the radio that the cops finally got him and took him to Bellevue Hospital. But he was trying to get a meeting with Trump or something.
Well, I heard that's the way they pick their apprentice programs.
Yeah.
I saw Gary Busey climbing the side once, and I think that's how he got on.
That was wild.
That doesn't surprise me about Gary Busey, by the way.
He's a crazy dude.
I sent my sister a text saying, somebody tell this guy he's not Spider-Man. Tell him to get down.
Dude, he did it though, right? I mean, I don't know how high up he went. Like I said, I didn't watch the end, and I don't really have the news in my house, but I saw it on the internet, and he was definitely higher than 20 feet off the ground.
Oh, yeah. I think he got pretty high. I don't know for sure, because I don't watch the news, so I don't really know, but he got up.
It was no safety line either.
No.
All it was connected to those suction cups.
That's insane. Yeah, you have to be insane to do that, true.
That's brave. No, that is brave.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, when you post personal information about, coming through on something that's very sensitive, that's brave and courageous. Climbing the side of a building is adventurous, maybe.
Wackadoo.
Yeah.
Um, I got another question for you, Jocelyn. I only got a few more. I hope we're not dragging this out, but so following you, I noticed you like to run. You're into working out. How important is fitness to you, and like what does it do for you personally?
Okay, so in all honesty, I hate running. Hate it. I'm not a runner by nature.
Me either. Sorry, continue on, but I hate running too. But
I used to hate it.
I solely do it for the benefits.
Is it doctor prescribed benefits, you mean?
No. Like, just for me, there is that, like, the runner's high is real.
It is. Yep.
So I get out there and do it for that reason. Like, physically, obviously, it's so good for you. But I just think overall, like, mind, body, and soul wellness is just so important. Mm-hmm. And, for me, there's nothing like running. That's why I do it. I'm someone, when I work out, I need to know, like, I worked out when it's done. Like, I have to be sweaty. That sort of thing. Maybe that's gross. Maybe that's too much on here. But
that's cool.
I can't like work out and be like unsure when I'm done if I actually did anything.
Yeah. That's cool. No, I totally get that. I used to be more into running, but the runner's high is 100% real, and a lot of people they don't get it. It's like when you push your body to like limits and you actually, you make it and push through, you feel like amazing after. You feel so accomplished. And, for me, I have to run with music though. And it's funny. I used to like hate dubstep, but for some reason I find dubstep just amazing to run to.
Really? I would have never guessed.
Yeah, dude.
Everybody's always like, we listen to death metal when I run or whatever.
Okay, well that works too, but like the continuous beat, and then when it gets so crazy, like boom, boom, you just get like a burst. That's me.
Do you listen to drop beats or whatever they call it, like Skrillex? Sorry, I don't know anything about dubstep, by the way.
I listen to whatever. I put like the dubstep radio on Pandora.
Ah, okay.
But Jocelyn, do you listen to music when you run, or you just like to listen to nature and your footsteps?
I listen to music or podcasts. That's another thing I do.
Funny Blunt Truth?
I was waiting for it.
I was recently introduced. I will be now. Typically, podcast-wise, I listen to Jalen and Jacoby. They're a favorite of mine. Mike and Mike sometimes. It all depends. I have like Dave Ramsey. He's like a financial guy. I listen to that sometimes. Mm-hmm. My son was like, "You listen to this while you're running?" And I was like, "Oh yeah."
It probably brings your heart rate down and calms you. You're like focusing on numbers and strategies.
Yeah. So it just depends.
Like that's not to make it a fitness thing, but like fitness episode, but like that's a key to running. Like controlling your breathing. If you can control your breathing and calm down and not be all panting and crazy, like you'll run pretty far. Mm-hmm. Don, do you have a question?
No, sorry. I was really listening to that. I got distracted.
Okay.
Still thinking about EDM or whatever it was.
Can I ask a dumb question, Don? I have a question for you. What's EDM?
EDM, electronic dance music. It's it's dubstep, right? I mean, that's the same thing. It's
electronic dance music. You got to come up with a fancy term.
I think that's where they take lots of drugs and they all get in a group and jump around and wait for the beat to drop.
Jocelyn, I have another question for you, and I hope this isn't redundant also, but, why is it important to you, to have a positive outlook in life?
I don't know. I don't know how to be any other way. This is just who I am. From looking at other people and what they go through, I think sometimes it can bring out the worst in you if your attitude isn't positive. And what you're going through. For example, after my first treatment, I did not feel well at all that evening when I got home. Like 10:30 at night, not feeling good in any manner. And I started thinking about how I was physically feeling. And I remember sitting there and I was like, okay, nope, not going down that road. This is the worst it's going to be. Mm-hmm. I'm over it. Like, you feel fine. It's okay. Mm-hmm. And it was literally, that was the worst it was for me throughout all my chemo treatments. So I don't know if you can actually will something to be a certain way, but I think just remaining positive. But I think back, and if I had continued down the road of this is how I feel and it doesn't feel good and that sort of thing, I would have just sort of gone down the rabbit hole, is like what I call it, and just sort of been sucked into, the negative feelings that go along with it. Mm-hmm. And I just reminded myself, like, it could be worse. It could be so much worse.
That's what I think about all the time. That helps me on a day-to-day. Like, there's always somebody that has been in the same predicament and pushed through, or in a worse, situation. But yeah, the mind is like so powerful, like I feel like you can will yourself. You can like trick yourself. That happens to me every day at work. I'm like, I want to be here. I love this place.
I got to the place where I couldn't even do that anymore. That's when you know.
It's tough, time to go.
Yeah, you gotta keep the positive up, man. You have to, especially when you start to, I think the brain is a funny thing like that, where you can start to dig into a negative space, and your brain, I think, sometimes will help accelerate and reinforce and accelerate and reinforce. And then pretty soon you find yourself questioning your friends or your family, and then, your own motives. And then it's hard sometimes to get a grip on yourself and say, that's not the right way. We need to think positive, cause I had issues growing up, and I hate to do this stuff with a guest who's been on with much worse stuff, but I had a bout of skin cancer when I was like 14 or something, and they constantly had to remove chunks of skin off my back. And, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I was always on like public transportation, on a bus, and the wounds would reopen. There'd be blood all over my back and, all over the seat, and, like 13, 14 years old. And, they're like, this is the worst kind of cancer you can have, this, that, and the other thing. So it's easy, to go into a state of negativity, and it's very tough to bring yourself out. But I do think it's important to do so, because at least for me, I don't think there was ever like a switch where I started thinking positively. I think it was just something you learn over time with how to deal with that negativity. I think it's important, at least just to reinforce that, to keep pushing positively.
Definitely.
I agree with that. Jocelyn, I have a good question for you. I think this is good. So you inspire a lot of people. You promote positivity. You inspire people. What inspires you? And name a person you look up to and you admire.
Oh, wow.
It could be more than one.
Okay. There are a lot of people who inspire me.
Can I ask a question? Can it be anybody through time either? Like anybody?
Anybody at all.
All right. So they can be anybody, whether I know them or not. Okay. Yep. So oh my God, there are so many. My grandmother, my grandmother being one of them. I absolutely adored her. And I think that's where I get a lot of my strength and my independence from. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan is another one. I think he's amazing. The fact that he didn't make his high school basketball team is a testament to his tenacity and strength. To go on and be, in my opinion, the greatest basketball player of all time.
I agree with that. 100%. 100% agree with that.
I know there are lots of people. I don't know how many people are going to hear this, but there are going to be some people who disagree with that one.
They don't know any better.
I don't mind. It's okay. They can be wrong.
They are.
Oh man. So along the athlete line, Muhammad Ali, right? I mean, how many people are just going to declare they're the greatest before they really even are?
Yeah,
again,
amazing.
Commitment, dedication. I know, I'm not going to name drop on some people that I know, but there are some people in my life who are just so committed and dedicated to their dreams. Like when you talk to them, they talk about what they're doing, like their passion, like they're going to do it. Like they're all in. Mm-hmm. And people like that, just inspire me incredibly. Mm-hmm. I think all of my siblings in different ways inspire me. I know they do. My sister who passed away was literally an angel, like legitimately an angel. And I honestly, before this whole part of my journey, I had said to my mom years ago, I have no idea how someone can have such a diagnosis and be like so, I don't think I could do that. I remember my mom saying like, well, you could, here I am. Right. And then, my other siblings inspire me just through, we're all so different, but we're similar. My brother's like super smart and sciencey. Like when he sets a goal, to do something, like it's going to happen, right? You know, and he's doing amazing things. And same with my sister. I think I admire her creativity. She has something I don't, you know, she can like write and draw, and I'm not even slightly artistic in the least. Hence why I didn't want to be a lead singer when you asked the question.
That's fun. Hey, but you wanted to be a woodworker though, over a doctor.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to be a doctor. Nobody wants to be a doctor. I would legitimately be sick, and I would probably cry every day. So yeah. I couldn't do it. I don't know. I just find inspiration in so many people for different reasons. Like one of my really good friends, she has like the biggest heart. When things happen in the world, she gets so saddened by them. Like her heart, she just wants to help everybody. And I just think, to me, that's so amazing. And it takes a lot from that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Isn't it sad though, like how, you know, you have like these amazing people with huge hearts, and it's almost like they're almost not made for this world, because so many people will take advantage of that, and it's sad. It's sad. You can have the greatest person ever, and somebody out there will try to take advantage of them, and it's so sad.
Yep. And I don't need to say, but also my parents naturally are so inspiring to me, and I've been blessed with, I'm trying to find the word, sorry.
Support.
Yeah, support, and I think they truly, you know, raised us to be whatever we wanted to be, you know that anything was possible. They provided me with, you know, many opportunities. I was the child. If you ask my brother, I was a brat. I was, several years older than
At least you're honest about it.
I mean, he probably wasn't wrong either. I was several years older than my siblings. So growing up, like I went to like gymnastics camp, golf camp. I played basketball, like went to camp, played AAU, did all this stuff. I like wanted to play the violin. My mom bought me a violin, and like I probably went to 2 lessons and like was out on the situation. So, you know, I think my mom learned from me that, you know, sometimes kids just like want to do things on a whim, and you probably shouldn't like invest a whole lot, you know, necessarily into everything. But I was so lucky in that way that, you know, my mom did invest in me in that way and did believe in me and encourage me. And my siblings did get things too. It's not that they didn't, but he's like, seriously, he's like, you had instruments, everything.
That's cool. Awesome supportive parents there. So, Jocelyn, I got a couple of final questions for you. Okay. What message do you have for people out there in any kind of struggle? Like people that are struggling through something. It could be health-wise, it could be financial, just people in a struggle. What message do you have for those people?
I think whatever you're going through, there's always a way. And if you're still here, you know, you're not done. You know, it's not over. I think some people are so, I don't want to say quick, but, you know, they'll quit. They'll be like, oh, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. And I think as individuals, you know, we need to take some control and responsibility, you know, for what's going on. Physically, maybe not so much, depending on what's going on. But, you know, I've been blessed to meet a lot of people since starting this part of my journey. And a few of which who were diagnosed to be like terminally ill, you know, given a month to live. We're talking, this was years ago, and they're fine now. So, you know, I think before we start to feel down and out and too sorry for ourselves, you know, just try to remain focused on the bigger picture, you know. Tomorrow, I mean, who knows if tomorrow will really come, but, you know, I think as long as I'm here, I'm always going to believe tomorrow's going to come, you know. And I think it's important to just stay focused in that way. Never give up.
That's an amazing and inspiring message.
I bet you that's why people like watching your videos right there.
I told you, dude. I told you. We had to get her on.
I know, but I tell you, like, I don't get it. Like, I'm just being me. Like, I don't know.
But I think that's something though. You know, a lot of people, when they post to social media, they portray a facade or a fake front. And when somebody posts something in sincerity and who's genuine, I think it actually usually courses right through all the bullshit. And it usually can hit people square in the face. And I think people can actually pick up on that. And I think that's why, even if they don't understand it, videos like yours, or even some of the other people that I follow who've been through traumatic things, who've recovered and, are opening up, their own, shelter programs, whatever the case is. I think that's why we all gravitate to those things. At least that's just my hypothesis. Is because, there's so much, and I'm sure you've probably seen it. I think we all have, people try to post that they have the perfect life. And that they're so great and that everything's so fantastic. And,
on a yacht like Jay-Z.
Yeah. I mean, as great as life is, I mean, it's not perfect. I don't even know what that is anymore. I used to, strive for perfection. I don't even know that exists. I don't even know what it actually is, Things are constantly changing.
You have to almost like embrace the chaos, because like the way that I view life is like, it's like you're floating in the ocean. You have like dips and waves, and some people have this, and I used to think like this. I used to be like, oh, I can't wait for the day when everything's going to be great. Well, guess what? Things are not always going to be great. Yeah. Something's always going to come up, and you're going to go through something, and you got to deal with it. And it's like, once you accept that life is like ups and downs, I mean, it's a lot easier for you.
That is so true.
That's how I view
it. I agree 100%. I don't think there's ever going to come a time where, we can look into the future and say nothing sort of bad, negative is ever going to happen again. Because, truth is we're all, all these people who are on this earth today, aren't going to be tomorrow, sort of thing. And some, I always keep that in mind.
And that's why you have to live in the moment, be happy now. Don't think like, oh, I'm going to be happy later on when all this passes. You got to be happy in the moment.
Yeah. Like I like to say I'm done with the struggle. But my journey isn't over either. I still have like hard work to do. I have a lot, I want to accomplish, and it all takes time. Like I recently was reflecting on my journey, like I reached out and wanted to inspire one person, and I was like, okay, I have to take my own advice too, right? Like I really have to be like, I can't just get on social media and say whatever I want and not live it out. Right. And I was thinking about that because there are certain things I'm not where I want to be, but life really is all about the journey. I'm on the journey to those places, if you will, or those goals and those dreams.
Yep. It's about the journey, not the destination, right?
Exactly. I mean, you have to go through the journey. Otherwise, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's funny.
The trip.
I don't know if I brought this up earlier, and I think I meant to. I've noticed like a through thread, even though we've had all kinds of different celebrities on, from arm wrestlers to actors, directors, singers, and they all have, and including yourself, that kind of drive to be something that like nobody else would do or would give up on. And it's your scenario is a little bit different, obviously. But the attitude is what I'm saying, is what I notice through everybody that we've interviewed. And those are the people that have made it big, or that are still just starting out making it big, or that you've overcome cancer, battling it, that I've just noticed. I think it's just an interesting observation.
Oh, wow.
That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think there's a certain attitude to people who are successful in life. I think that's what I'm getting at. And, it's interesting to find that in somebody else who is going through a different scenario, who's not just somebody on TV or just somebody who's, some athlete or whatever. So it's fascinating.
To touch on that, Don, one thing that I noticed is like, this, the group of people that you mentioned, including Jocelyn, if I can speak for her, it's like you look past the illusion of like life. Like you know what's important, you're chasing your goals and passions and getting out of the hamster wheel. But, I agree with that statement, Don. But,
thanks.
I don't have any more questions for Jocelyn. Do you, Don?
No, I'm actually good. I just, wanted to say many thank yous for coming on, for trusting in us to have you on, and letting us, get to hear your story and letting the world get to hear it. So, many thanks.
Thank you so much. Like, it means so much to me that, Dave, that you reached out. I appreciate it so much. I can't, honestly, no words. I feel very humbled and honored to be here.
I gotta say, like, we feel honored. If I can speak for Don, I feel honored. Thank you for accepting. Thank you for being on. I'm gonna continue to follow you, and we would like to have you back on at some point later on. Follow up, and we could chat some more about life. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Right. So, Jocelyn, I wish you the very, very, very best. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And you just come across as such a great, good person, and good things happen to good people. So I got a lot of faith in it. Thank you.
And I wish you the best. I know when we originally talked, it's been a while now, and all your goals and dreams.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So much. So for you guys listening, that's going to wrap up episode 23. I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was a great, inspiring episode. Don, do you have anything in closing?
No, I agree with you. I enjoyed it. It was fascinating.
Do you want to plug our pages?
Oh yeah, well there is that. Sorry, I got sidetracked with the story there. Yeah, everybody follow us on Twitter and Instagram, Funny Blunt Truth, on Podomatic as well, and on Gmail it's Funny Blunt Truth Podcast at gmail.com. Feel free, iTunes. That's the one I always forget. Subscribe. That means a lot to us on iTunes. Send us an email. Tell us what you like. Feel free to follow Jocelyn as well if they want. Do you have any place you want to send them to?
Sure. I'm recently on Instagram. It's Jocelyn_Hawley. And I'm on Facebook. You can find me there too.
We can also plug the pages in the description if you like.
That sounds good.
I think that'll be great. The more people you reach, you're a really positive, awesome person, the better the world will be. We need more people like you.
Thank you.
So like I said, that'll wrap up episode 23. Thanks for listening, guys, and thanks again to Jocelyn for being on. Until next episode, take care.